I grew up being told that the English ate my family. As I've mentioned before, my family are Irish famine survivors. So I have family who's buried here and back home who are unfortunately mostly in unmarked graves. It's our family lore that back home, the English ate our family, and that's why we're having such difficulty tracking them down. And when I first heard that English people speak this way about their food, I was triggered and I couldn't figure out why. Until Alina Jean reminded us that they are responsible for all the Egyptians' mummies getting eaten. And also here in America, they ate Black people. So to this day, I still do not know if the English actually ate my family or any other Irish people. But I do know that they're talking this way on purpose, and that's why they think it's so funny.
If you ever hear something unhinged on the internet, it might be attached to one of us Americans. That's not surprising. And actually, you guys gave us a very nice dose of what we've been saying on the internet for my last video. And our first comment from that says, time I hear an American say, without the US, the French would be speaking German, I answer, from 1775 to 1783, without France's army, navy, and financial support, there would be no United States to begin with. That is diabolical. And there's a lot more where that came from, because another one of you guys went absolutely crazy in the comments and said, Australia here, two young American men are sitting and traveling on a train in Vienna, Austria during an early morning rush hour. They are talking very loud in English and endlessly complaining to one another about how cold and unfriendly the local Vietnamese people are, that nobody speaks English, etc. At some point, one Vietnamese man traveling in the same carriage as them can no longer keep a straight face while listening to them and starts to smile gently. They immediately look at him in a very confused and agitated manner, and the man explains to them, yes, the Vietnamese people quickly become very cold and unfriendly when someone is yelling at them during an early morning rush hour, whether on the train or at the stations. When they do speak English, it's normally not to strangers. USA. No, that's not true. Nearly nobody speaks English here. The Vietnamese man centers himself down on one side of the carriage, raises his voice, and using English announces to the cabin, Austria, everybody who pretends not to speak English just because you don't wish to speak to American tourists, please raise your hands. The two Americans were quite pissed when almost all of the people inside the cabin raised their hands and laughed. Diabolical. That was actually insane. I don't even know what I would do in a situation like that. It's just crazy because we do time and time again put our foot in our mouths when we go out and travel and whatnot, and you guys catch us in 4K all the time in the comment section. And honestly, what we just read doesn't stop there. Another one of you guys left a comment in the comment section which reads, if Poles have humor, is that polarizing humor? I don't know. What do you guys think? If Polish people have humor, is it polarizing humor? Does that qualify as a dad joke? And also, let me know what one of the wildest things an American has said to you has been. It can be something that I've said. I mean, again, I'm not innocent of doing any of this. I've done it quite a bit. Why do people in the US need dishwashers if they use paper plates? And why do they speak with the original English accents when they claim to be 17% Italian, 24% Irish, 25% Polish, and 4% Greek? If the size of Texas is important, why does nobody mention Alaska? It's 2.5 times bigger. I should point out that 5 of the 8 states and territories in Australia are larger than Texas, and Western Australia is larger than Texas and Alaska added together. Yeah, in doing these videos, I've noticed time and time again that most Americans love to bring up the fact that it takes so long to drive through Texas and whatnot. Well, Texas is a big state. It's not our biggest state, and we tend to forget Alaska all the time. It's kind of insane. You guys let me know what you think about that in the comments down below, but we have a lot to get into in this video. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. If you guys are returning viewers, welcome back. Before we dive into any of this, make sure you guys like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Ireland, FYI, not Europe. I can only wonder what that means. So this post here is from Delta Airlines, and I guess it's a sponsored post. Underneath that, there's a comment here that says, is that the cliffs of Moher in Ireland? FYI, not Europe. I don't know what to say to that. Sometimes people just be saying stuff. Because what? You didn't know that Ireland is a part of Europe? Fucking bonehead. Every day, Americans bring the bar to the ground, then another American comes with a shovel. And I would defend us, but this is indefensible. This is just, what the heck? My head hurts already. We just started the dang video. Since so many Americans claim to be Irish, Ireland is certainly located in America, not Europe. God, when will all these Europeans get proper education to the excellently high standards as the USA does? Jesus Christ Almighty, Lord save them. Little sprinkle of sarcasm there. Yeah. I don't know why that individual was so adamant on saying, oh yeah, Ireland, FYI, not Europe. Like, what? That's insane. That's actually crazy. And it's wild because people will say like the dumbest things and then stand on it on their 10 toes and be like, yeah, I said that. Does the Yank think the island isn't Europe because it isn't in the mainland? Do they think Ireland left Europe because of Brexit? Who knows? Honestly, that's a mystery we don't even need to decipher, because I mean, understanding the stupid is like an impossible task. We just need to chalk that one up to a loss and move on. Again, we're not all like that, but there's enough of us to where we've had a pretty bad reputation globally. Says he will blow his brains out on live TV. He said, what? What is this caption referring to? Let's check this out. Alan Dershowitz says that he will blow his brains out on live TV if Zoran Mobdani becomes the New York City mayor. And then of course on the left-hand side it says suicide, and the right side says lie. Well, this is one of them situations where this individual is forced to eat his words, because Zoran Mobdani did become the New York City mayor, and I can only imagine what the dude's comment section looked like. His Twitter right now. As you can see, his Twitter is literally the headline of that article, spammed and reposted, retweeted by literally everybody. They're like, so are you about to do the honors? Or not. I mean, this is one of those situations where someone puts their whole foot in their mouth and it comes back to bite them in the ass. It's something that's happened time and time again. And honestly, this is a grand scale version of one of those situations. Wasn't he one of the people that helped get O.J. Simpson acquitted? Actually, I don't even really know for real, but maybe? I genuinely don't know. That's disgusting. Where? These comments never cease to amaze me. Honestly, that post was completely unhinged. Those remarks were unhinged. But we have more unhinged posts and remarks from fellow Americans. Let's go ahead and dive into this next post. No cup holders. The Eurosport experience is very much different than the American. Oh, okay. So apparently they're talking about no cup holders at a Eurosport sporting event of some sort. Let's go ahead and look at the post for reference. So the top of this post, it's from Twitter. It says, no cup holders. The Eurosport experience is very much different than the American. And right here in this image, you can see the individual is like sitting in some stands or whatever. And I guess these are the chairs. And as you can see, no cup holders. Now, underneath this picture, it says, one thing the international stadiums never seem ready for is how much the Americans indulge in concessions. Now, when I traveled to Germany, one of the many times I traveled to Germany, it was my first time actually going to a Fußballspiel, or soccer game for my Americans that don't know what that is. And it was pretty cool because the stadium was awesome. The atmosphere was intense. The fandom was absolutely incredible. It's everything that I've ever wanted to experience based on the videos I reacted to, right? Now, how does this have anything to do with what we just saw here? Well, one thing I noticed when I went into the stands is that none of the seats had cup holders. And that was interesting because I was ordering beer. There was a guy walking around with like this beer keg thing, like he had this beer dispenser and he would like sell you beer by the cup. And of course, me and my friend bought some beer and whatnot and we indulged. And I'm like, well, where do we put our cups if we're not done drinking it? And he's like, you hold your cup until that cup is gone, big dog. Like, I'm hoping someone was in touch with the UN about this tragic absence of a cup holder. Oh boy, let the games begin. Here we are getting roasted in the comments as per usual, and it doesn't stop there because our next comment says, what's the deal with Americans and needing everything to have a cup holder? Well, maybe it's because we love drinking things, anything, and not finishing it and putting it down and having it rest somewhere. It's a convenience. It's a nice little convenience, admittedly so. For my peoples from Europe that have traveled to any kind of sporting event in the United States, did you appreciate or not appreciate having the option of having a cup holder? I think that's a pretty cool thing. I don't think that's that far-fetched, but I can see how that could be looked at as a bit weird. Sorry, my drink isn't in the cup long enough to need a drink holder. That's also something I was wondering as well. I'm like, how do people partition their drinks during a sporting event? I mean, everybody's going crazy. The energy is usually very high. Typically, like, you'll drink your drink pretty quick and then like continue celebrating and having a good time. But I don't know. That could just be me and many others. Not everybody does that. Obviously, some people do partition their drinks, but I feel like that's kind of weird at a sporting event. If you guys agree with me, let me know in the comments down below. If you don't, let me know in the comments down below. But we're going to move on to this next post as the caption says, go back to your own country. What baffles me about this statement is it's a statement we've we've heard many times in America and actually globally, right? Whenever people have any type of national criticism, other people are like, well, if you don't like it here, go back to your own country. And I'm like, newsflash, I was born in the same country you were born in. So now what? Secondly, how can you make positive changes without identifying the problems in the place that you currently live in? And thirdly, why is it a problem to identify problems in where you live? Like, it's not like you hate the place, you just want to make improvements. And again, referring to my previous point, if you want to make improvements, you need to be aware that the issues are present. And calling them out is a way to let other people know that there is an issue present. And of course, you can come together and take action and make changes and make the area that you're living in better. But that makes too much sense. I'm crazy. Let's go ahead and look at what this caption's referring to. As you can see right here, it's a comment thread that says, "Celebrate with me. My tribe, the Oglala Lakta Nation, has officially banned religious missionaries from the reservation." And underneath that, it says, "America is a Christian country. If you don't like our religion, our God, and our missionaries, just go back to your own country." I think that this is such a sick mentality to have. It's just like, bro, obviously one of the big things is if people have their own thing, their own qualms, their own problems, whatever, what have you, so be it. But obviously, as long as you're not negatively imposing that on somebody else, live wherever you want to live, dude. Abide by the laws, do your thing, and yeah, you're allowed to complain. It's so funny. America prides itself on the freedom of free speech, and then they turn around and they're like, yeah, get out of here. How dare you say anything negative about the country? It's just kind of crazy to me. But I don't know. The comments had a lot to say, and our first comment says, "I think a lot of them would very much like to go back to having their own country." Literally, yes. And when the individual that was commenting was talking about his tribe, I mean, he was talking about his tribe in America that predated the colonization of America. So, the comment was very tone deaf and dumb. The response comment was very dumb. I like how some Americans will justify their lack of knowledge about the outside world by saying that their country is so big, they have to learn a lot about things about it already. But then you see some of them that have way less understanding of their own country's history than foreigners anyway. It's crazy because we have this thing going on right now where there's this really nasty sentiment towards immigrants as a whole, not just illegal immigrants, it's just immigrants as a whole. And when you look at how America was founded, the United States of America, it was definitely founded by immigrants. People moved in from all over, and there were already people here. There were already people native to America, and we became the United States through colonization and a lot of people from other countries migrating over to the United States eventually. And then it's weird that we have this like reverse sentiment in regards to like welcoming people into the United States. It's almost like we're repelling people, and it's sad. Yes, Christian missionaries, famous for staying in their own cities and keeping the religion to themselves. Yep, because we know that Christians didn't conquer any nations or anybody to spread their religion anywhere. A little research goes a long way, people. I'm confused. In the UK and Ireland, they don't sell gallons of milk, opting instead for smaller sizes, pints, and liters. How is any milk left after their kids drink from the milk jugs? Well, that caption told us everything we needed to know about this post. Let's go ahead and take a nice little look. So it's literally exactly what we just read, and as you can see on the shelves, it's a whole bunch of milk and whatnot, and this is the age-old debacle between Americans and the rest of the world and size comparisons. Oh my goodness. See, at some point we got to get with the program. Okay, at some point. And I'm hoping that point is sometime soon, because sometimes we do use globally accepted measuring systems and a lot of times we don't. But let's go ahead and see what the comment section had to say, because those are pretty entertaining most of the time. If I need more milk than one bottle, I buy two. I didn't realize that was a difficult problem to solve. Yeah, if you don't think that the size of the milk you're buying is enough, wouldn't you buy more? That's kind of how that works. But okay, maybe not. I'm confused. Yeah, I bet you are. Anything that is done differently to American standards seems to be near impossible for them to grasp anyway. Well, historically, we've had pretty difficult times adapting to things that are not on par to American standards, and we let the world know about it some way, shape, or form. Not all of us, but a lot of us that make waves throughout the interwebs. But anyways, let's go ahead and read the caption of our next post. Doesn't this risk the chickens incubating since they're not kept cold to suppress incubation? I think that this is going to be a post in regards to how the eggs are stored in Europe versus in the United States. In the United States, no matter where you are, the eggs are stored in the refrigerator, in some type of refrigerating setting. That's not the case in Europe. Electricity in Colombia is so expensive that they can't afford to refrigerate their eggs. First off, doesn't this risk the chickens incubating since they're not kept cold to suppress incubation? Second off, there's no way these are safe to eat. Who knows how long they've been sitting out? Oh boy. Oh boy. Now listen, I used to be one of those people as well that was like, whoa, those eggs have probably been out for days, weeks, months. I am not touching those. I'm gonna get salmonella poisoning or something. And I just simply did not understand the process and how eggs actually are created and kept so that they don't have to be refrigerated. I was very ignorant, and through the help of, some research, some basic level research, I was able to shift my mindset a bit. That's something that I feel like a lot of individuals are allergic to though. Research. It's something that's not common anymore, apparently, amongst the average American. Americans only see washed eggs, which have to be refrigerated. Most of my brethren have no idea unwashed eggs can sit on the counter at room temperature. Case in point, here in Korea, where I'm living currently, they have very similar standards to Europe when it comes to maintaining the eggs here. So they are actually out on shelves and they're there for quite a while, and they're good. They're actually good for far longer than the eggs in the United States that are refrigerated. So I find that to be such a pleasant surprise here. In fact, the eggs are super cheap, and we just had that whole egg epidemic in the United States where the eggs were costing an arm, leg, goat sacrifice. Colombian here, what the fuck is this one talking about? Haha, energy in Colombia is actually rather cheap and stable. Also, this is not how eggs work. See, I only wish the original poster knew that, but he made it in his video, so apparently he didn't get the memo. Oh, I just thought of a new money-making venture. Leave some eggs out on a shelf, wait a while, get chickens, repeat, profit. It's almost like this has been done for generations. Oh, Lord. Wow. Well, let's go ahead and read the caption of our next post. It's probably my American-centric brain, but why would a country decide to make a currency where 1 penny USD is worth 263 units? Ah, yes, the currency debacle. Let's go ahead and see how this post turned out, because the caption reveals a little bit, but the post will reveal everything. Boom. So right here it says, it's probably my American-centric brain, but why would a country decide to make a currency where 1 penny USD is worth 263 units? Vietnam uses something called dong. What can I buy with 1 dong? Can I even acquire 1 dong? And then right here it says 1 United States dollar equals 26,314.89 Vietnamese dong. Well, it depends on the country you go to, right? Pricing's very different. The economies are very different. This is where research comes into play, but I've said that a bunch of times and I probably sound like a broken record at this point. So let's go ahead and get into our first comment, which says, no, you cannot acquire any less than 1K dong, not counting the commemorative notes. Those go down to 100 or 50 IIRC. If you had a single dong, you could put it in a temple for the ancestors. That's about it. Why is inflation so high? I'm glad an American is asking, LMAO. Yeah, inflation's whooping everybody's ass. Worldwide, throughout America, throughout Europe, Asia, globally. Everybody's just feeling the pressure of inflation, and it's unfortunate. Now, obviously, you can take your coin to different countries and make the most of it, but it does not change the fact that inflation is ever present and it is ruining lives. So our next comment says 0.76 pounds sterling. Look what they need to mimic a fraction of our power. The good old invincible meme. See, I used to think the US dollar was the almighty, most powerful currency in the entire world. Then I started taking a deeper look and I'm like, okay, we have a strong currency, but it's not the strongest at all. So, interesting. Wow, this is a superior level of disconnection from reality. And guess what? There's more where that came from in our next post. It's actually a video, so brace yourselves. Get some popcorn, grab a snack, get some water, and let's check this out, and hopefully it's not too bad because my brain absolutely hurts from all the dumbassery in this video. FYI, it's so incredibly sad that nowhere in Europe accepts American money. We've covered posts like this before. Listen, if you are traveling to another country, understand what the currency is there so you don't have a weird look on your face when they don't accept your native country's currency because you did not bother to convert or bring the native country's currency that you're traveling to. So So that's something I would keep in mind. Anyways, the post that this caption is referring to says, FYI, it's so incredibly sad that nowhere in Europe accepts American money. The last time we were there, American money was worth more. Now they won't even accept it. So Italy, Switzerland, and Paris won't take it. You mention our money, they squirm. It's a shame. They are our allies. It's clear to me that this individual is a bonehead, okay? Because it has nothing to do with them not wanting to take our money. It has everything to do with what is the acceptable currency in the goddamn country. Do some research before you leave a comment like this. Because good Lord, you're going to keep winding up in videos like this. Anyways, our first comment says, how would they react if we tried to pay with euros in their country? We would absolutely lose our shit. And you would think that because that's how we would react, we would in turn prepare ourselves by bringing the appropriate currency to said country we are traveling to. But of course, Americans doing dumbass things, all right? It just doesn't make any sense. This sort of makes me sad that there are people who just literally have no clue how the world works. Part of that is the lack of desire to travel outside of the United States, and it's pretty bad. Not knowing how the world works directly impacts you as an individual. No matter where you live in the entire world, having a better understanding of how the world works will make your life easier on so many levels, and that's kind of just a fact. It's interesting and a little bit scary sometimes looking at how people have navigated through the world up to this point, and you're like, you didn't know some of these crucial things that will literally make your life easier? Like, huh? Like, okay, for instance, let's give you specific examples so I'm not speaking in circles. There were several Americans that traveled from the United States that landed in Europe, for instance, and brought some drugs with them because they thought if they brought some recreational, marijuana and stuff like that, it would be okay. They got detained and they were scratching their heads as to why they got detained. Again, just basic research would have told you you can't bring that. Just because it's legal in your state does not mean it is legal to bring with you internationally. Also, I'm not sure how they got that out of the United States in the first place. I didn't know you could travel with that on you. Don't try spending USD at any place outside of Zimbabwe and Southern Africa either. You'll find that it's even less acceptable than in Europe. Why do Americans always think we want their cash? It's a hassle and a lot of wasted time to exchange it to normal money that you can actually spend and costs you a hefty fee to do so. So, moral of the story. Before you travel, make sure you grab whatever currency that you need to go to whatever country you need to go to. And if you don't want to do that, just look at what type of cards they accept when you travel over there. Let your bank know that you're traveling to another country as well so your account doesn't get frozen, and then you'll be able to navigate perfectly fine. But a lot of people don't do this. They want to travel for the first time and they don't do any research, and they have literally one of the worst experiences of their lives, and they don't truly know why. And they come back and they're like, I traveled one time and I absolutely hated it, never doing it again. And I'm like, dude, it's because you literally did not know how to navigate the space. Super simple. And that actually ties into something that I was mentioning earlier, which is the connotation of being well-traveled. If you are well-traveled, right, you would have traveled to so many different countries that this would not be anything new to you. You would just know how to navigate. But you need to build the experience of traveling to different countries worldwide so that you can know this for yourself. Our final post is going to be very interesting as it's a video. How dudes with no military experience be setting their phone to military time. Yeah, that's a crazy statement. It's just 24-hour time. That's not military time exclusively, right? That's something that a lot of people use worldwide. Worldwide. Let's see what the comments had to say. Military time for them. Just another 24-hour day for the rest of the world. Fucking unbelievable how limited some of them are. Before people post, man, it's just like talking, right? Before you open your mouth, make sure you do a little bit of research. Just make sure you think before you speak. Because sometimes you don't even need to do the research. You just need to think to yourself, does this make sense? And a lot of times you'll be like, oh, maybe not if I say it like that. Maybe if I think more than 2 seconds before I open my mouth or decide to hit post, just blindly type something and hit upload, might make a little bit more sense and I might sound a little bit more intelligent. What an amazingly stupid thing to complain about. 24-hour clocks are efficient. You don't need to ask AM or PM every time. But then again, it's the US. They're still relying on imperial units. Yeah, but listen, it's worked up to now for some weird reason. And I was definitely in favor of imperial units until I traveled more regularly, and now I'm like, you know what, I kind of prefer metric units. There are some things where I'm like, okay, old habits die hard, right? So I keep some of the imperial measuring units and stuff to some regard, but for the most part I stick with metric units, which is a huge improvement for myself, because I can tell you for most of my life that was not the case. I work in 24-hour time just because it's the logical thing to do, and the number of colleagues I have who just subtract 10 and show up 2 hours late for things is mind-blowing. If they can comprehend that 12 o'clock is 12 p.m., why the fuck would 1300 be 3 p.m. and not 1 p.m.? Well, it's because they're fucking stupid.